Hello, everybody. For my presentation today, we'll be talking about Danielson Cluster 3, which is classroom management. So, the overarching goals of this is a fundamental requirement for any productive classroom is that it runs smoothly. So, as teachers, we want to establish efficient procedures for completion of routine tasks such as taking attendance, guiding transitions into work groups, distributing and collecting materials, and handling end of class dismissal. These procedures accomplish several essential purposes, and they are often um, taken care of with a minimal loss of instructional time and provide the security of familiar routines for students. So when it says the loss of um, minimal loss of instructional time, so we don't want to lose out the time of teaching our students how to do an assignment because it will take away from their learning and it will take away from their ability to complete an assignment if they have more questions. And then efficient routines convey to students that the teacher is in charge, though not a dictator, thus assuring them that they need not fear chaos. So, what are some key elements? Routines and procedures. So, create efficiency and clarity to support joyful, productive engagement in learning activities. Collective responsibility. So, this is shown by all members of the classroom community through monitoring of the standards of conduct, execution of procedures and routines, and productive contributions to learning. And then for the physical environment, so in supportive, wait, I'm sorry, is supportive of learning and appropriate for the social, emotional, and academic needs of all students. So going back to kind of the routines and procedures, so create efficiency and clarity to support joyful, productive engagement and learning activities. So we want to create these activities based off, of course, getting students the most knowledge coming out of these assignments, but we also want to make them in a way that will engage them in the activity. So maybe bring up something that they may enjoy, maybe bring up something that they're interested in, and that could kind of help connect them to the activity, and that will actually make them a little more motivated or engaged into the activity. So some distinguished elements from Cluster 3 is efficient procedures for non-instructional activities, so such as taking roles, distributing and collecting materials, and making transitions. Also, clear guidelines for student work when it is unsupervised, etc., in small groups. Evidence of clear standards of conduct understood by the students, so monitored by the teacher, corrected successfully when necessary by teacher or student or both. Physical environment supportive of learning activities and productive contribution to the class by volunteers and paraprofessionals. So, room for improvement. So, teachers need to work with all of their students no matter how big the class size. And classrooms are very clustered, and anxiety of new teachers are very high. So I put that in there because, of course, as a future teacher and as I'm coming to student teaching come fall, um, it's kind of it will be more on this side as a new teacher of how high the anxiety could be if your classroom size is big, small, no matter what, because we are new teachers and we might not be used to this situation yet. But we want our students to feel control of life in the class. So we want them to feel like they have control of their own life, which they do. We are just that we are there to help them. We are there to do our role as teachers to educate them and to make them better students. We don't want to control their life in the class because we also don't know how the student's life is at home. We also don't know how they fully learn as a new teacher because we, of course, just met the student. So we want to let our students be a little more open. And then, of course, we want to work with them every single day. And then teachers need to establish routines and procedures with the attitude towards students when presenting these things are very important. So framework in cluster 3. So framework, creating an environment of respect and rapport, establishing a culture for learning, managing classroom procedures, managing student behavior, and organizing physical space. And then for the look for and listen for, I added this chart that is really about the different things that we would look for in a classroom. So we have like unsatisfactory, basic, proficient, and distinguished. So these are different things that we could like look for as teachers to help us. So it'll be like, oh, different elements about our classroom or the way we are teaching. So we have the best classroom for our students, and we want to kind of like look at this and go, oh, my classroom's not the greatest. My students are not working with the teacher. So that is more of an unsatisfactory classroom. But we work with that and we either get it up to basic, proficient, or distinguished. But I think this chart is really helpful for teachers, especially new teachers, to look for and listen for in the classroom.